Can racism be erased with a gene editor? Imagine a world without prejudice, rewritten at the very blueprint of existence. But what if this cure is a phantom, a dangerous delusion built on genetic fallacy? We stand at the precipice of wielding CRISPR not to heal the body, but to supposedly purify the soul. Is prejudice truly encoded in our DNA, or does this mask a deeper, more unsettling truth about race, identity, and bias itself? The promise of genetic salvation clashes with the complex realities of human behavior. What if the real disease isn't in our genes, but in the structures of power that exploit difference? Prepare to question everything you thought you knew about science, ethics, and the insidious allure of biological determinism. The answers may be more disturbing than the questions. Before we unravel this genetic puzzle, what's your gut feeling? Subscribe to and witness the full revelation. Comment your initial thoughts below. In 2012, Jennifer Doudna and Emmanuel Charpentier revolutionized science by adapting CRISPR-Cas9, a bacterial defense system, into a gene editing tool, earning them the Nobel Prize. Picture molecular scissors, guided by an RNA sequence, targeting specific locations within our DNA. The Cas9 enzyme then cuts the DNA strand, triggering the cell's repair mechanisms. This allows scientists to disrupt or insert genes. However, CRISPR's promise is tempered by limitations. It is not a flawless system. Off-target effects, where CRISPR cuts DNA in unintended locations, remain a concern. Imagine genetic-friendly fire, with unforeseen consequences. A 2017 study in Nature Biotechnology underscored the unpredictable nature of these errant cuts. CRISPR excels at manipulating single genes with direct effects. Yet, the idea of eradicating prejudice through gene editing falters against reality. Human behavior isn't an on and off switch, but a symphony of genes interacting with environmental influences. This complexity exceeds CRISPR's capacity. Furthermore, the technology is mired in legal battles, like the Broad Institute and the University of California's patent dispute, highlighting commercial interests. Looming above is the ethical tightrope of germline editing alterations passed to future generations, a Pandora's box many fear to open. The question, what if CRISPR could cure racism, rests on the fallacy that race is a biological reality, etched in our genes. History tells a different story. While figures like Blumenbach attempted to categorize humanity, science has revealed a more intricate truth. The Human Genome Project revealed we share over 99.9% of our DNA. Decades ago, population geneticist Richard Lewontin demonstrated that 85% of genetic variation exists within groups, not between them. A 2002 study showed that genetic clusters only imperfectly align with racial classifications. Skin color, a superficial trait used to define race, is governed by a few genes and adaptation to sunlight, not a marker of inherent difference. The American Anthropological Association is unequivocal: race is a social construct. To believe otherwise ignores the genetic unity that binds us. The siren song of genetic determinism has echoed through history, often with consequences. Francis Galton coined eugenics in 1883, the belief that intelligence and traits are inherited and improved through selective breeding. In the US, the American Eugenics Society pushed for restrictive immigration and forced sterilization. The 1927 Buck v. Bell Supreme Court case legalized sterilizing those deemed unfit, endorsing eugenic principles. This ideology reached its zenith in Nazi Germany. The law for the prevention of genetically diseased offspring led to the forced sterilization of hundreds of thousands, a prelude to systematic extermination. Even the Cold Spring Harbor Laboratory, now respected, once housed the Eugenics Record Office, tracking undesirable traits. The lessons of history are stark. Targeting genes associated with complex behaviors like prejudice opens a perilous path. But what if the answer isn't etched in our DNA, but woven into our societies? The Kerner Commission report warned of two unequal societies. Michelle Alexander's The New Jim Crow exposes persistent systemic biases. Eduardo Bonilla Silva's concept of colorblind racism reveals inequality thriving beneath neutrality. These aren't genetic flaws, they are societal fractures. The Dole test revealed internalized racism inflicted upon black children. Ta-Nehisi Coates, In Between the World and Me, articulates the lived reality of racial inequality. A 2017 study highlights the pervasiveness of implicit bias, shaping decisions from hiring to justice. The path forward isn't through genetic manipulation, but through radical empathy, transformative education, and policy reform. Dismantling prejudice demands confronting uncomfortable truths, challenging biases, and building a society where equality is a reality. The Pew Research Center's findings underscore the need for racial equality. The cure for racism lies not in CRISPR, but in our collective will to forge change. The pursuit of a prejudice-free future isn't found in manipulating our genes, but in transforming our societies. As geneticist Dr. Rick Kittles reminds us, race is a social construct, not a biological one. You can't CRISPR away a social construct. UNESCO declared this truth decades ago. Yet, colorblind ideologies, as Eduardo Bonilla Silva argues, mask entrenched inequalities. The unsettling truth revealed by the implicit association test underscores the hidden biases we must confront. The Kerner Commission's warning of separate, unequal societies still echoes, amplified by mass incarceration, illuminated by Michelle Alexander. Organizations like the Southern Poverty Law Center, SPLC, expose organized hate. The challenge is not to rewrite our DNA, but to rewrite our social contract, forging a future where justice and equality prevail. Ultimately, the fallacy of using CRISPR to cure racism lies in its misdiagnosis of the problem. Racism is not a genetic defect to be excised, but a deeply ingrained social disease that demands a multifaceted cure: education, policy reform, and a collective commitment to dismantling systemic inequalities. To truly address racism, we must focus on changing hearts and minds, not editing genes. What specific steps can individuals and communities take to dismantle systemic racism in their own spheres of influence? And how can we hold ourselves accountable for creating a more just and equitable society? Share your thoughts and solutions in the comments below to foster a meaningful dialogue and inspire collective action.